For over a decade now, national media and NBA fans have told you that, when healthy, Anthony Davis is a generational talent, a premier two-way player whose presence drastically swings the advantage of his team his way, with the ability to carry a winning franchise. Yeah. All of that is complete and total bullshit.
When healthy, okay? So we're talking about a healthy Anthony Davis. I'd take Anthony Davis over Luka. I'd take Anthony Davis over Jokic. Yes, I would.
When healthy, is Anthony Davis a top 5 player in the NBA?
When healthy, is AD the best big in the world?
I don't know about that anymore. On today's show, the biggest what-if player in the entire NBA is on the Dallas Mavericks. It's Anthony Davis.
I've mentioned this before on my show that the Greek freak, Anthony Davis was Giannis before Giannis, but it feels like Giannis has surpassed him. Why is that?
You know, when he's healthy, he's one of the top 5, 7 players in our league. And
all right, JJ, I'm focused on you. Is a healthy AD a top 7 player?
No, he's not.
Now, let's be clear. Is AD talented? Absolutely. A 7-footer with the skills and agility of a small forward. Davis is more than capable. But when it comes to being the number one guy for a franchise, and the actual results in winning or losing, just how effective is AD in reality and not hyperbole? Let's dive into it, starting with Pelican AD. Davis spent 7 seasons in the NO. During that time span, the Pelicans would fail to win 40 or more games 5 of those 7 seasons, with AD as the lead dog, only making the playoffs twice. NO's most successful year with AD will be the 2017-2018 season. And sure, AD put up impressive numbers: 28 points, 11 rebounds, 2.5 assists, almost 3 blocks, 1.5 steals, in 75 games played. Great stats, no doubt. But was he truly the number one for that team? That year, Davis was surrounded by a very talented team, which included players like Rajon Rondo, Jrue Holiday, and DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. And an argument can be made that Boogie, not AD, was the Pelicans' best player that year. The Pels finished 48-34, with Cousins playing 48 games before injury. Boogie's numbers were just as impressive as AD's, dropping 25.5 points, 12.9 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 1.6 blocks, and 1.6 steals a night, outranking AD in rebounds while averaging around 2.5 points less. More importantly, Boogie's numbers led to wins. Of the 48 games DeMarcus played, he would lead the team in scoring or score more than Davis in 24 of those. New Orleans will finish with a 27-21 record when Boogie played. Jrue Holiday will lead the team in scoring 9 times that season. And Nikola Mirotic, Nikola Mirotic, will lead the team in scoring 8 times that year. Out of 82 regular season games, the Pels were led in scoring roughly half of those games by someone other than Anthony Davis. And with Rondo running the offense, AD was more of a top-tier role player than a franchise-carrying player. To dive deeper, New Orleans went 34-48 the year before and 33-49 the year after. So AD's role as the guy that year is questionable at best. In 2019, lead GM and Rich Paul will pull some strings and get Davis to LA with the Lakers. And on the surface, things look great. The Lakers will win the NBA title, and AD will once again put up impressive numbers, leading the 2020 champions in scoring. But, once again, Much like the 17-18 season with New Orleans, the 1920 Lakers had a deep and well-balanced roster, including LeBron, Rondo, Caruso, KCP, Kyle Kuzma, Danny Green. Dion Waiters actually chipped in with 11.9 points per game that year, and two players who helped tremendously to camouflage AD's weaknesses. One of those players may actually have a better case for being top 75 all-time over AD. Those two players being JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. Davis was exalted as one of the best defensive bigs after the 1920 season, and a defensive anchor. In reality, Davis never had to defend the other team's center or be the primary rim protector. McGee and Howard would fill those roles, allowing AD to shine as a help side defender. And you can dismiss JaVale McGee all you want, but he came to LA as a two-time champion starting center, averaging 5.7 rebounds and 1.4 blocks in 16 minutes per game for LA. Dwight Howard himself would bring 7.3 rebounds and 1.2 blocks in 19 minutes played. Those two combined at center provided LA with 14 points, 13 rebounds, 2.5 blocks as a two-headed center, essentially letting AD play free safety and roam the paint without having to be very physical. McGee and Howard would also play more games than Davis that year. No better example of their defensive impact can be shown than the job they did versus Nikola Jokic in the 2020 Western Conference Finals, Dwight Howard in particular. Jokic was held to averages of just 22 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 5 assists. AD barely guarded him, though, throughout that 5-game series. So again, AD's impact as a premier two-way player for LA has its fair share of holes in the story. After the dumbest trade in sports history, Davis found himself as a Maverick February 1st of 2025. His impact clearly has been reduced from questionable to doubtful. AD's decline is obvious. Although the sample size is small, it's the sample size, and not very impressive at all. Davis managed to play in just 9 of a possible 33 games for Dallas in the 2024-25 season, declining drastically in points and rebounds. And yeah, the Mavs won 6-3, but 4 of those 6 wins came against non-playoff teams. The Mavs scored 112.3 per game, while surrendering 110.7 to opponents. Even still, Dallas made the play-in with a chance at the playoffs. A roster of active players that included Klay Thompson, P.J. Washington, Jaden Hardy, Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford, and Derek Lively, with a healthy AD, should have been good enough to win versus the Grizzlies, even without Kyrie. Instead, the result was an absolute beatdown by Memphis.
It's up his second foul for Dallas.
Game like this is exactly what you want to see.
I'll guard you though. Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on right here. Come on. You know I don't go nowhere. Come on. You know I don't go nowhere. You know that. You know that.
Aldama driving. Missed the shot. Oh, John Moran just broke the rim with that finish.
Well, John Moran gets a running start at the three-point line and puts his head on the rim.
AD scored 40 points that game. Dallas gave up 40 points in the first quarter. In addition, AD didn't become aggressive until midway through the second quarter. By then, the game was already out of hand. This year so far in Big D, things have been no better. In fact, they may have become worse. Yeah, Kyrie is still hurt, but the Mavs now have number 1 pick and alleged generational talent, Cooper Flagg. The Davis-Flagg combo has 6 games under his belt with a 2-4 record. including an embarrassing loss to the Washington Wizards, a 2-point victory over severely depleted Indiana, and just last night, a 129-119 loss to our outcasted star Luka and the LA Lakers. The difference in game impact between Doncic and Davis was on full display. Luka shined with 35 points, 11 dimes, 5 boards, and was a plus 15 on the plus-minus side. Meanwhile, AD scored a pedestrian 12 points with just 5 rebounds and was a -4 on the plus-minus side. In all honesty, the Mavs bench kept them in that game. As of now, the Mavericks are 4-15 and 14th place in the West. Their hopes of having a winning team now rely on a 34-year-old Kyrie Irving returning from an ACL injury. Because history has shown that, when healthy, AD simply ain't doing it.
That's a real question.
I want to make sure I got it.
You know what game I want to play.
Just want to be sure.
But, we'll see. We'll have a conversation, see what makes the most sense.